was horrendous.
Jesus
We have to
Christ.
turn. We have to get the beginning of that show and save the beginning of it.
Okay, you can join again, period. I'm so sorry for that. Wow.
Please. Hello.
Okay, you're live.
We're back. Oh my God.
Jesus.
What can happen on the internet?
We'll
I'll
cut
tell
that
you.
out.
You would think that that's some great thing. Here comes Samantha.
So we can just cut that. We should remove it from
Yeah,
Facebook.
we
Yeah,
will.
we'll get in trouble.
Folks, we got hacked in the middle of things. That was quite an experience. And so we got hacked. We'll be putting this show together with the beginning of the opening that I did. And Sam, I'm not sure if you heard the beginning of what I shared at the beginning of the show. Did you? Were you there at that point or no?
I was there when you were talking about rituals, but I'm assuming that you're gonna remove that that part. But you know, this stuff
No,
happens.
we won't. We won't. We'll keep the first section, but we'll remove, of course, our lovely addition.
But now you've gone through your first hack, and I think you know the best thing to do is just end the meeting and start over like we just did.
Right.
So
now we learned how.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to do it
now we know.
Yes, and we tried to turn it off and it just wouldn't even turn off. That was pretty wild. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's go on because you know, really what I was talking about was the intelligence of dogs. But coming through the back door of creating culture with your dog through the building of ritual. And, you know, we do things regularly every day, and our dogs are so blooming smart. They catch up on it so quickly. They follow us like fish in a school. You know, they walk around with us all day. They follow us here and there, sit by us while we're in the bathtub outside, and with us while we do our laundry or do the, you know, cut the lawn, all these incredible things that they do naturally. And what people don't realize is that when they're doing that, they're actually, you and they are actually establishing a cultural interaction interspecies. So in your family, in the milieu of your home and your environment, you're establishing things that happen more frequently, and therefore they become part of the culture of your home. Now, what I wanted to bring to that understanding is number one, notice that, name it, because once you name it, you can really understand and appreciate that you have, you know, you and another species who are loving with each other are generating an environment together, and that is enriching both of you. But the thing that I wanted to bring and highlight in that is that rituals, those dogs didn't need to be told to do a lot of what they do with you during the day. They just didn't need to be told. They observed, they learned words, they saw your behaviors, and they just checked in at the times that they knew were important for them to do that. They knew where to sleep, where to lay next to you when you're busy without getting in the way, but instead being present to you. They know when to get up and think about dinner. They know all of the customary things that are in the rhythm of your day and your week and your life. And when you decide to actually create some of those by generating rituals that you're consciously aware of, and you do that, one of the things that happens is you begin to really touch the incredible intelligence of your dog. Because like I was sharing earlier, I can say shoulder to my dog and he'll come right up and lay on my shoulder. I can say nothing and tap my shoulder, and Billy will do that. And I can also just simply say shoulder, not tap, and Billy will do that. So Billy learned words and behaviors that obviously he connected to the activity because now he does it, right? It didn't take me even 3 times to teach him that. Of course, Royals are very easy to train, but you can do it with any breed, and you will absolutely love it. When you become aware to notice the intelligence of your dog, notice the words that they can learn if you are repetitive in your language and in what you do, I have a ritual today that went out or that's going to go out this evening on the email for Royal Frenchel, or I guess Friday night. And that ritual is, slapping your leg and going, it's time for fun, right? And you just say that. You can even just say fun, slap your leg, your thigh, and say it, right? And then get one of their favorite toys, get up and spend 5 to 10 minutes playing with your dog with it. And then go sit back down, enjoy the rest of your day. Well, I guarantee you, the next time you slap your thigh, your dog is going to look, okay? They are intelligent. They put sentences together. Mr. White, my old boy, knew, God, well over 250 words. Phenomenal boy. He just passed a few months ago. But boy, what an amazing creature and best friend he was to me. And literally, I could say, God, White, I'm not feeling so good. Could you move over here and point to it? And he would just get up and move. Um, there's so many things that I could do with him that, were magical. And why are they magical? They weren't really magical. And that kind of implies I had a low idea of his intelligence. Um, uh, but it seems magical when you have a little creature like that you adore, that is so capable of understanding you and participating with you in daily life, isn't it? Pretty wonderful. So yeah, those were thoughts that came to me for today's show. I wanted to share. The more rituals you do with your dog, the greater language your dog learns, the greater behaviors they learn, the greater the more complicated and enhanced the culture that you live in together is established. And I'm telling you, it just gets richer and richer and richer over time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we had one with a pup that I helped raise. His name is Merlin. And
Oh, yeah.
my kids
The howling.
would say Mer howl, Mer howl. And whenever they say Mer howl, he would come right up to them and start howling with them. And he would stick his head right into them. And he looked forward to that every day, man. It was like his greatest exciting moment. And the kids look forward to it. And now he's with another family, and they were asking me the other day, can we call her and do a Mer howl over the phone? And I guarantee you he would do it. Over the
Aw,
phone. Yeah, he would 100% do it.
so fun.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about today, Samantha?
So I'm thinking about how where what you're discussing falls into what we might typically label as dog training, but you're talking about something different.
Very different.
Interesting.
You know, it seems like you're talking about more of a back and forth communication, and I guess dog training does involve that to some level, but it feels more reciprocal, back and forth. Um, Whereas dog training, it's kind of like we think we're getting the dog to do something we want them to do. And it doesn't really it feels like what you're talking about is more of a inter interpersonal venture,
I
if
think
you will.
what
Does
there
that make
is
sense?
it's very, very different. We use the term ownership with dogs because you can go buy a dog, etc., right? Here, we don't use the term ownership. We consider it belonging. So I belong to them, they belong to me. We're equal. We're just two different species. We operate differently. We have different needs in some areas, not in others. We have very similar needs, quite frankly. Um, and I mean, if you leave a baby untouched and uninteracted with as an infant when it's born, it'll die. Obviously, we require pack members. Okay, are similar. They are happiest in their pack. Um, so we have a lot of things that are very similar. Unfortunately, this whole idea of humans being the top of the food chain and being so smart and everything personally, I don't know about all that. All I know is that I have found intelligence throughout nature everywhere, and incredible intelligence. And there's all different types of intelligence. So, talking about intellectual intelligence, even that with my dogs is phenomenal. As long as you take into consideration the dog's reality, that it requires a certain redundancy, a repetitiveness, so that it can learn the language. It can't speak it, remember. So learning the language is really important. And so you have repetition. Once they learn it, they know it, and they'll participate with you. So here we have, as a matter of fact, on the project I'm building right now, Mr. White is an AI that I'm building for people with dogs, and I'll show you all that project at some point here. But one of the things we have is that we help them identify, generate an identity on the blockchain for their dog, so that it secures the belonging to that family and the family belonging to the dog. So we don't do ownership, we do belonging back and forth equally. We have tasks and jobs and roles that we need to fulfill. Our dogs need to fulfill some, we need to fulfill some. Because we dominate in the world and environment, our job has more to do with providing basic care and resources. The dog's job is to make our way easier and more nourished in certain capacities. Also, if they do a job for you in any real world way, like my dog is a seizure alert dog, right? So she does a job for me as well as be my, buddy. So, it's a very different context than being, lording over your creature that you are going to make do something and be, tough with.
Obedience
But
training.
instead,
That's what they call it, obedience training. A lot of people.
well,
Yeah,
it is,
yeah.
you can even do obedience training, but the idea is that you recognize a contextual framework. It's a different framework you come from, where you recognize simply that you are equals. I really believe that. We're just equals from different domains of intelligence, and we want to explore our intelligence together. And that makes it really fun and really, really sweet. And you discover so many things uh, in your animal when you come from that vantage point.
Wow.
And you perceive them differently. You perceive behaviors, like people around here where I work all the time, right, in the kennel. When they first start, they always are getting after dogs. And Tiro can tell you that I'm always yelling out here around here, ask what they need first. Don't just get after them for whatever behavior they're doing. Find out what they need. Are they telling you something important? 9 times out of 10, probably more often than that, 99 times out of 100, it is that they have a requirement for something. Something's happening that could very easily be rectified if we just acted on their behalf. Yeah.
I think that's such an important point, because initially you were talking about how we can help them learn things that will be enjoyable, beneficial, bring happiness to me as their person, and them as my dog. But you're also saying that it lends itself to when there is some course correction that's necessary. And I think we miss the steps along the way. Like, say a dog has and I'm not talking about Royal Frenchels, but just any dog has a bad habit of going to the bathroom in the house. Like sometimes my dogs on a rainy day, they don't like to go out, so sometimes they'll have an accident in the house. But I think that um, there are things leading up to that there might be things that I miss that they were telling me, but I wasn't listening and I wasn't paying attention and I wasn't asking. So what I hear you saying is that this can be a very important way of communicating with our animals that can help with correcting behaviors that aren't that where you don't want them to be doing those things.
Yeah, well, the truth is, the more of the context that I share with you, if you implement it, the less your dog is going to act out. I mean, I don't have dogs that act out. Do I have dogs that act out? My personal pack, I have a
Yeah.
pack of 16 dogs, at least 16, my
They're
personal
like
dog.
part of her like dress of being. Just flow with her.
I walk around the property and they just sort of come with me like a
That's amazing.
Right,
But
right.
actually right now I'm not doing that with my leg, but I've had a knee replacement, but I will be soon.
Mm.
But you know, the truth is when you have relationship with anything and you've provided the space and attention for it. You know, I have a little boy, where is he? He was here. I'm not sure where he went. Griffey. Can you get me Griffey? Where did he go?
Special
Anyway,
Griffey.
I have a little guy named Griffey. Griffey was a little Royal Frenchel that got completely missed in his youth. I won't go into the story, but essentially he didn't get any attention. And I got him and started giving him attention. And he was like a year and a half, 2 years old already. Here he is. Hi, Griff. Hi. Hi, sweetheart. So he was a year and a half, 2 years old. He was absolutely panicked. If you picked him up, he was so overcome with the joy and the blown awayness of the fact that he was being given attention because he had never gotten any, right? He's a good boy. I couldn't kiss him when I first got him, when I first started working with him. And now he can stay relaxed in my hand. But if you saw him at the beginning, he was jumping all over the place. Now, I didn't do any big training thing with him. You would have said that dog is uncontrollable. He has a genetic problem personality wise. He has this, he has that. And no, he doesn't. It's just going to take what it takes over whatever period of time. I call it berry picking. You know, you go out and pick berries to a pie. At some point, you get enough berries where you can make a pie. It's one pie, but there were a lot of berries you picked to get into it. And this is one result. But there were a lot of berries that he and I picked together, being together, trusting each other, giving each other love, and sharing in our world together. And now Griffey is just the most outstanding little fellow. I just adore him. And he has beautiful genes. And I'm so glad I have him here with me. So, you know, you're absolutely right. But we want to understand, yeah, we are not doing that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Excuse me, somebody just wanted to get on our thing again. We're just cutting them out. We're definitely not.
We've learned our lesson.
Not letting that in. But you know, so it's about establishing a relationship. And what kind of relationship do you want to have? What kind of culture do you want to build? How much intelligence are you willing to actually witness in your dog? You know, some people are super, super busy. They don't want that. All they want is a dog that they can cuddle at night, that gets good treats, takes a walk with them. People like it and say, oh, what a cute dog. And some people actually establish a deep relationship with their dog. They're like family. They know their personality inside and out. They have fun with them. You know, that side is me.
I think the most profound statement I heard in everything was, we are equals and we seek out each other's intelligence. And I think that's like an equation. And here I go thinking equations and math, but it truly is. It's like, you know, we are equals is the foundation, right? And then the action that lives on that foundation is seeking the other's intelligence. And I think it's just brilliant because I think that's relevant to all people, right? Like even in a relationship, if you have a relationship with a partner and you're doing that, man, you know, you guys are doing really well because you're always after that, right? And it makes so much sense because with the dog, that they would flower, their intelligence would flower, they would become all they can be. What's laughing at? you know, if you did that, and I think that equation is amazing.
Oh my, I got
She's all tickled.
I got very tickled because
Because
we have
micro.
somebody who's trying to hack us right now, and they keep showing up on our screen, which is very bizarre.
They're trying to
You're not seeing it, but we are.
I win.
So seeking the intelligence, but also seeking, which again is also happens in person to person relationships, seeking that common language.
Yeah.
And Anahata, I started talking to you a little bit about this, about how if we can learn and begin to practice having a common language, developing a common language with
Mm.
our dogs, and learn that we can actually do that, how that could translate to becoming better communicators with anybody else,
Without a
including ourselves. My husband will say to me sometimes, do you think they're thinking something? And or what do you think they're thinking? What do you think they would say right now? Or do you think this is the other thing he says? Do you think when they pass on and we see them in heaven, do you think we'll be able to talk to them? And I'm like, buddy, you are missing the mark because they're talking all the time. And I'm like, why would you wait for us both to be off the planet to not dip into this stuff? So I guess my question is, like somebody like him, where would somebody like that start to first be open-minded? I think that one of the very important things you said to listening, like I can listen to my dogs, and it might not be in my typical way of hearing, because they're not going to talk to me in words, but what am I listening for? How do I listen? Where do I begin if this whole conversation is very strange to me?
Well,
Good question.
I think that I keep it pretty uncomplicated myself.
I
I
think a
can,
lot of people would
I
appreciate
can
that
get
too.
lost easy. You start taking me to a college class on it, and I'll tell you. But I can say this. Um, uh, that when you love, you take in information from many, many different sources in a room and in a person or in a creature, whether it's a plant, an animal, doesn't matter. When you love, when you're available to see beauty, when you're available to greet um, an open heart of another creature, and to wonder aloud, to be intrigued by it, to learn what is in their wilderness. I think often about wilderness because I love the wilderness. I don't like going there so much because I feel at risk these days at my age, but um, with some of my, differences physically. But uh, I love the wilderness because it's endless. If you're walking in the wilderness, it's like this vast expanse, and you can walk for days and days and days, and it's still there, and you still go. And so,
Yeah.
There is this way that each one of us, the front of our house, who we are on a day-to-day basis, what we show up as, is like the populated area of a city. And that when you get to know us more and more, you enter the wilderness of who we are. And you discover the rarities that are there. You discover the uniquenesses of that terrain in a person. You discover the highs and lows, what is dangerous there, what isn't, where to go, where not to go. It's a discovery that is endless and infinite. It goes on and on and on. I don't know anyone that I have ever fulfilled complete knowledge of that I've loved and adored and spent a ton of time with. I don't know anyone that I have completed the journey of knowing them. Okay. I have learned more about each person I've ever loved every single day I've loved them. And it's the same way with an animal. If we love them, there is an area of intrigue, of open-heartedness and open-mindedness to knowing and seeing who they are and revealing that to ourselves through interactions of all kinds. And they love that. Why? Why does everyone love that? Because it's witnessing them. When we have an interest, I say to people all the time, that ask me, because I mentor a lot of people. I've mentored a lot of people in my lifetime. And, I tell them, love is not a mystery at all. Love is a technology. And they always, think I'm funny because I like technology, but it's very true. Let me show you how I know that, and you'll know it instantly when I tell you this. If you have someone who it takes an interest in you, who thinks you are absolutely valuable just from the get-go, they view you as valuable, they tell you you're valuable, they treat you as though you're valuable, and they have an interest in you that goes beyond whatever moment you're in. They have an intrigue about you and an interest in you while they're seeing you as valuable, right? That's called a witness of you. Now, I don't know anyone on the face of this planet I've ever met who had someone do that with them and did not say they felt loved. If you have someone who treats you as valuable, and if you have someone who wants to know you, is interested by you, about you, and thinks that what you share is valuable, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
There's a view
that's fine.
That's your face off.
And so what happens? You feel loved, right? It's a technology. It's a simple equation. You can do it with anything, any living thing whatsoever. I actually do it with everything. So, any little buddy like this Boston Stubbs, right?
So great.
You see, he's a old snuggle bun. And this is a Royal Frenchel Boston Stubbs. He is for sale. You can see him on the website. But so love isn't a mystery. It's a technology. It's an equation. You do the equation, you're going to feel loved. If you yourself do that to someone else, guess what? You feel love. How many people say, oh, I gave gifts at this holiday. It was so much fun. I think I enjoyed giving the gifts more than I did receiving them. Right? How many times have you said that in your lifetime? I'm sure you've said it at least once, right? That's because the joy of giving that kind of attention and witness to someone else brought you joy. It brought you the taste of love. And if we do that with one another, if we do it with our animals, it opens doors to one heck of a sweet environment. Did I go off half-cocked there?
I think that's just wonderful. I mean, really.
No, it was wonderful. And I hear you talking about receptivity. And I think there's so much more validation to the telling part of communication versus what you're talking about is witnessing, which again is receptive, it's taking in. Listening, it's receptive, it's taken in. So I really hear you highlighting that. But then the question I don't feel like was quite answered yet is where do we begin with this technology of love?
Right at the very beginning.
Because I love that you said it doesn't need to be overcomplicated. You appreciate the simple. We don't need a college class for this. Although I think this stuff should be taught in preschool and kindergarten. I don't think it is. But where does somebody like my husband, for example, begin?
Well, I think that, those were actual steps that I just named there. It's an equation. So if what you do is look upon the world a creature in the world with interest, considering that it has value at the get-go, intrigued about it, wanting to understand it, to know it better, then what happens? You start to feel things toward that creature. You start to learn things about that creature. So that's the first step, number one.
So
And that's an actual exercise you can do.
Yeah.
Do the exercise. The next thing you do is you behave toward them. And then what you do is actually flip it. Now, your dog, when you've done that, is going to do that with you naturally, because that's how they're made. That's one reason why humans love them, because they look upon us as though we are very valuable. Even those that humans that are very harsh on them, they look at them as though they're valuable. We use the term forgiving. They are extremely forgiving. Personally, I don't use that term, but here is this creature who looks at us. So you sit back, your husband would then, after doing the first part of the exercise, the next part would be sit back and let your dog simply do that to you. Your dog will want to know you. Your dog will want to come, and people will think, oh, he just wants a love. No, your dog wants more than a love. Your dog wants to know you. Your dog wants to hear you. Your dog wants to smell you. Your dog wants to know every nook and cranny of who you are, because they love that. Right? Just like when they read the mail by smelling pee outside or on the posts on the street, they want to know all about it. And so that's the second part. So keep it simple. Just keep it simple. Small acts. In our email on Royal Frenchel, jump on our email list. We have a puppy break every week. And on the puppy break, there's something called the Royal Frenchel tip. So anyone with a dog can do the Royal Frenchel tip every week. And we have like a ritual going out tonight for people. Do some rituals. They're fun and they work, and they don't have to be long. You don't have to go like go get special treat bags and buy special treats at $50 a bag and all that stuff. You could bake a chicken and leave it in there for a while, and it'll get hard and crusty. And then you just take little pieces of that, and you've got dried out chicken, and keep it simple.
Yeah. And one of the things you said before that I think is valuable is like the berries to a pie. Like that's actual an instruction also. Because, you know, if you think about Griffey, the boy she brought up before, I mean, I watched her do this from the beginning, and it really wasn't that much time, is the truth. It was regular attention without missing a day. You know, so he looked forward to, and if she did have to miss because she had to go to some appointment or something, she would address him and say, "Hey, Griffey, I missed you," and she would tell him, and then she would have time with him. And he learned through that ritual that he was valuable, is the bottom line, right? I mean, he learned every day. And imagine if she didn't do that, the message to him after she would have started. It's the opposite message, which is why they get, you know, why they misbehave or why they go south on them, on their behaviors, because they're missing a step. They're missing that relationship that they want. And they've been told they're not valuable because people have ignored them. And, you know, my dog, my whimsy, you know, like I've said, you know, one of my challenges is to, you know, stay calm, stay focused, and keep things moving at the right pace so I can stay present and not freak out. If I'm going too fast and stressed, my dog, she comes right up to me and will look in my eyes. But what I notice is I have less interaction with her when I'm like that. And then all of a sudden I come back to myself, and there she is. She's been there the whole time, you know, Turo, Lord have mercy. And she give me a big old lick and happy whimsy hug, you know. But it is, I mean, that's the other instruction, is if he does it regularly every day with your dog or with you or with anybody, you know, with any act, then that's going to build the experience that you're looking to create. It's awesome stuff, man. I love this conversation.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
It's a fun one. It's a fun one and an important one. You know, I have a book coming out called The Way of the Dog, and then there's a subtitle to it. I can't remember what it is right now, but it's The Way of the Dog, and then it's copyrighted and everything already, so I can talk about it now. And I have some editing to do on it after a meeting last night, but just a little bit left. And I would say within probably 6 weeks, it'll be out. And it's really, really fun for me to hear people read the book, because I've had a number of people read the book to give me input back. Every single one of them said to me the same thing. I've never read anything like that before. I've never heard of that. Like, it's such a different way of interacting, and I love it. And when Arturo, I couldn't get him to read it. He was busy, busy, busy. And finally I said, if you don't read it, I'm going to start charging you, because we have to get this project done. It's part of the business, right? It's business of business. So I said, I will start charging you if you don't do your job. So I thought, boy, it must not be a very good book for him. And he went home, started reading it, came back and said, that's a good book. And I said, good, good. What chapter are you on? Well, I've only gotten to chapter 3. And I said, oh, great, thanks. There's a lot of chapters in this book. And so the next day, 2 days later, he comes in again and he says, I just want to tell you that book is great. I can't wait to get back to it. Now, that is something you want to hear in a book about a dog and life with your dog. And every single person talked about it because of this type of conversation we're having. The book holds that type of perspective in it. And it has rituals and exercises, and it has a journal. It's going to be, I hope, that it becomes one of the dog Bibles in America and around the world, I hope. I really do. I really pray it becomes that, because I think anyone with a dog should have it. And my editor is so funny, because I have this very professional editor, and she's so cute. She was like, being very professional and everything with me. And then she finally just showed me her dog. She picked up her dog and she said, I think actually, I'm going to tell you, I think this book, for marketing purposes, I want you to understand this. This book is a book that I would use all the time. Like, I wouldn't read the book and put it down. I would be using this every day. I would keep it with me in some nearby place, because whenever I wanted to grab a ritual to do or exercise, or just rethink something, or make notes in my book. If I did the thing with my dog, then I might make notes in my book. And I'm learning so much about how people are responding to it, like our conversation, right? Because I've lived rather, I don't want to say reclusively, but I tend to be, because even in the world, I've had a fairly strong brain difference, right? I don't read. I went through college and graduated magna cum laude, right? All the way through master's and a PhD level education. And I never read, not once. I'll tell you how I did that some other time. That's a topic for a whole nother thing. But the reason or what am I getting at by telling you these stories? Because I've lived very differently. I am a person that cannot be super, super busy to the point where I lose myself. I have to stay anchored in me, which means a minimum, and this is going to sound really wild, I have to have a minimum of 3 to 4 hours a day alone. Absolutely alone. So a lot of my time is spent either very early morning or very late at night. Now, what's great about that is I have my dogs with me. They do too. And I have found that dogs really appreciate the rhythms of quiet as well.
Yeah, yeah.
The rhythms of an energy in a room when a human being is tapped into themselves at a deeper level, and is listening on an intuitive level, is participating in the world in the flow of themselves, as opposed to the list they're supposed to get done, you see. And these energies do have an effect on us and our animals.
I think that you're talking. I mean, this is a whole other show, I think, um, because I could feel the little bit of apprehension of even naming that for yourself. You know, naming. I mean, you've already obviously named it for yourself, but naming it out loud of needing that time. And that makes total sense to me. I wouldn't call myself an introvert because I really adore people and I really adore deep connections with people. But in order for me to, I'm kind of an intuitive like you. So I need a lot of quiet time in order to be present enough to give of myself. So
Right.
I have to quiet my mind and not be constantly overstimulated by all of the stimulation of the world. And that's, knowing that of myself, that's when I can best give. So whatever, you just said makes total sense to me. And I definitely feel like my dogs are, share that
Absolutely, they do.
quiet,
Yep.
that desire for quiet.
Yep. Well, I think they have a rhythm of it. Dogs sleep 16 hours a day, typically. And humans don't. But some of that sleep time for dogs is a state of being that is very similar to our meditation, what is termed meditation. I call it source dipping. Um, so it that state allows us to connect, and we don't have to have a lot of words for it. We just are being together, and that's very relaxing when you can just be, in an unconditional environment, right?
Yeah,
That's
and I think also
relaxing.
we've kind of gotten used to um,
What did I do with my hair?
calling calling a normal state that
Uh-huh.
is actually abnormal. This
Uh-huh.
state of being
Absolutely.
so overly stimulated in a way that actually disconnects us from each other, and that's become the norm. And so
Uh-huh.
this quieter state that you're talking about that actually gives us the space to really connect and have what you're talking about today, to have the space to be interested, to have the space to listen, to have the space, and I'm talking about mind space here too, to be able to witness another human being or tree or animal in front of you. Um, it's just become, oh, that's not normal. Who has time for that? When that's
Mhm.
our nature.
Yep.
Right.
So I'm super excited for your book to come out. And one thing that came to me when you were talking about it was these things that we're discussing, even your emails that you send out, they're not to read. They are to take the information in and then practice it and apply it. And that's when you'll really get the feedback back about why are you doing it in the first place. It's because you want the results that it will get you from actually doing it, not from reading it. The information alone is not going to be enough, but the practice of it,
Uh-huh.
and the trial and error of that practice, that's what will really um, convince you by the results that you get from doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to jump in with a thought I'm having with this discussion. There is this there's a way that humans, us, our expectations frame the experience you're going to have, right? So if you expect that your dog is not intelligent, you're going to treat them unintelligently, right? And imagine that you had like the best car, like say you had a Ferrari, but your Ferrari could actually fly with the press of a button, but you don't expect that, right? But it's right there the whole time. It's totally there. You just have to look for the button. And I believe that Anahata's book is that button for the relationship with your dog, because I think that so many people have a limited relationship with their dog because of the context and the expectation they may have, and there's so much more possible. And I believe that's why the book is extremely valuable for anyone who's had a dog. I mean, I've been working with dogs for 15 years now. When I started, I really had very little connection to dogs. I thought they were cool. I liked them. I grew up with two pups that I I had a very deep connection to Oisian Giebs and the Oisian and the Giebs. I named them these hilarious names, and I had stories with them, and I sang songs about them, and I mean, I loved them so much. And but then in my adult life, I didn't have a dog. I just kind of went off and did my thing. So having dogs around me, living with them, loving on them, raising them, and then reading her book to still have an effect on, oh my God, there's more, and I think that's what's
Oh,
exciting
good.
about people in when you change your context in whatever relationship you are in to an unlimited view of the other as valuable. It's just a life changer, is the truth, whether it's your dog or another person. So I'm just so glad to have this experience, and I just think, hey, let's fly. Let's fly with our dogs. I'm like so looking forward to deepening my relationship with mine.
Yeah, and the
Well,
just the idea of how much they can open our minds in
Yeah.
ways that we don't even have to worry about. We don't have to think about it. It can just happen.
yep. Samantha, I want you to know as I've been sitting here, I find myself so grateful that you're here, and I'm really am. You've really given us a start. And I want you to know that. I find you like the the person that sort of holds the space for something to happen. And um I really receive that so deeply from you, and I want you to know that. And Royal Frenchel appreciates that across the board. I
Wow.
feel really moved to even acknowledge it. And so that's the first thing I wanted to say. And the second thing I wanted to say was, oh my God, the show's over. It's already 12:58. I can't even believe it. It's like these discussions are so worthwhile, and
Yeah.
I think they're so awesome, and I want to continue them for sure. And
Talking dogs.
again, let me just show you the um uh Tail Wagging Love store on Amazon has our thermos. Okay. I have some incredibly fun products on the way. This has two bowls, and so you can feed and drink your dog. I mean, feed and give your dog a drink, or you can drink out of it. Super easy to clean. I also want you to know that
Okay.
I have some killer products I've been working on. I've worked really, really diligently on them. And they will be coming out. And it's all copyrighted stuff now at this point and protected, where our trademark is almost in, and then I'll be able to reveal more of it to you. So I can't wait. The next few weeks are going to be very exciting for me to share with you about Mr. White and what's available there, and some of the products that are going to be hysterically funny and really fun to have, because I'll be building this other book over the next 4 months with an artist who is working with me. And as he goes on, and we'll have our first 5 art pieces will be done by next week, will be the first set. And they're very funny, fun things that really help acknowledge how dogs and humans are similar, and from the worlds that we're in, and establish that culture. And it makes fun, and I hope that they're received well. I think you will enjoy them very well. So anyway, yeah, our time is up, and I don't know what else I was going to show you today. This is a show to introduce you to Royal Frenchel puppies. I haven't done a whole lot of that today, but I do hope I've helped, and we have helped open your minds and hearts to the more of your dog, because the more of your dog is just so awesome. And we love you. Dog
I
people
just
are
want to say one last thing
sure.
about just over the course of the whole show. If people watch this, I just want to highlight that the dogs that have just been these puppies, these babies, they have just been so calm and quiet. Just there and so present. And I think that
Oh,
people don't
Boston.
realize
You
these
good boy.
dogs. You know,
Yes.
they're just
It's
so
very true.
calm that
Really different than most places you
this
go
is not
to.
even, this is like a toddler that you're holding, and he's just been so perfect.
And
You know,
he's available on the website. His name's
he's
Boston Stud.
adorable, but same thing with Powder. He did the
Yeah. Oh
same
my God.
thing,
Powder's amazing.
just
If I hold
held,
him any longer,
quiet,
Grab me Powder,
he'd
will
be
you?
there.
Uh-huh.
yeah, I want to say to all of you watching, if you enjoy this content, please like and follow
Oh, yeah.
whatever stream you're in.
And
If you're in
subscribe.
YouTube or Instagram, whatever, just get your notifications. We're here every Wednesday. Samantha's joining us. We're having great discussions. I'm sure there's many people who would love this. Share it with people you think would love it. And we'll see you next week also. So here's Powder again.
So little Powder would say bye-bye. And Sam, thank you. Mwah.
Thank
Much
you so
love
much.
to
I
you.
love
Much
being
love
in this